But that strike, it was like, it just pushed us to Twitch.
Yeah, YouTube pushed you to Twitch. You're like,
Yeah.
go stream on Twitch now.
I'm not really sure if they still do that, if you get a strike. But
you could have
by
appealed
the time,
though. Did you appeal your strike or?
Yeah,
you just, okay.
we tried, but
Didn't work.
I don't even, it didn't work. I don't think we even got an answer. I actually I listened to some of your podcasts, and you've had a lot of nice guests. I think I watched the one with Justin Wong, and
Yeah, sure.
the Gino one. I've been following him on Twitter for
Yeah,
a
Dino's
long
great.
time. He's great.
Yeah, he's really funny. I still hope we get to get a face reveal at some point, but I don't know if that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I don't think so.
Shout out to Dino. Welcome, guys, to episode 18 of Streamforge Radio. I'm here today with Saga. And Saga, how are you?
Hey, fine. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. We're really happy to have you here. And if you'd let me, I'd like to introduce you to our listeners. So you're a Brazilian variety streaming legend. You have been creating quality retro content for 7 years and counting on online, on Twitch, more specifically. And you've accumulated over 10,000 followers. You typically stream in Portuguese, and but you do have some international viewers as well. And you recently debuted your own VTube avatar.
Yeah.
And so last week we had Jimmy, the middle-aged stream, who's a VTuber and has his character is called Jimble. So we're kind of like in a theme of VTubing right now. It seems like it's a trend. So I'm really excited to talk about this even more with you. I feel like I know a little bit more from listening or doing actually last week's episode. How are you doing today, Saga? And welcome to the stream. And is there anything you want to add to? Did I miss anything from this introduction?
No, I don't think so. My channel changed a lot in those 7 years. I started with recorded content. It was something like Let's Play videos.
Right.
And we were in three. I started my channel with two friends. And then we moved it to live streaming. And nowadays I just live stream.
What made you go from, I guess, was it YouTube initially?
Yeah, it was YouTube.
So what made you go from YouTube to Twitch?
The first thing, we finished our recorded content. We did like 3 Let's Play series. And then my friends had to move along with their lives. And so I stayed alone. But by that time, I started streaming on YouTube. And for some reason, when they launched Persona 5, the Japanese version, we streamed for a bit, and Atlus striked us. I'm not really sure why. I think they didn't really want anyone streaming their game by that time.
Yep.
And when you get a strike on YouTube, you can't live stream for 30 days, I think, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So it was like, hey, I don't really want to stop streaming for 30 days, so I'll just go to Twitch. And I was already I was already a Twitch user for a long time, so I was only streaming on YouTube because we already had a following there, and I was like, hey, if I stream here, all my followers will get an alert, and maybe they'll watch our streams. So that's why I wasn't on Twitch before. But that strike, it was like, it just pushed us to Twitch.
Yeah, YouTube pushed you to Twitch. You're like, go stream on Twitch now.
I'm not really sure if they still do that, if you get a strike. But
you could have appealed though. Did you appeal your strike or?
Yeah,
okay.
We tried, but
didn't work.
I don't even. It didn't work. I don't think we even got an answer.
And was, I mean, for the record, like, did you legitimately play the game? Like, I mean, did you bought the game?
Yeah.
You owned the game. You streamed the game, and they gave you a strike.
Yeah, it was a digital copy on PS4, I think.
Really?
Yeah, well, with a capture card. There was nothing weird happening.
Like, it's not like it was before like an embargo. Like, it's not like you got the key from
No.
let's say like an agency or something like to. Okay, that's crazy, man.
It was really weird, but Atlus as a publisher, they had some reservations about streaming by the time. So even when the game got a international release, they asked streamers to not broadcast the I think it was the last chapter or a few of the last chapters of the game because they was scared of spoilers. And I'm not sure what they were thinking, but maybe it's something like, hey, this is an RPG game and the story is pretty important for the experience, and maybe they thought that its streamers were broadcasting the whole game, people wouldn't play. I'm not really sure.
Well, still, let's be honest. Let me be devil's advocate here. So you're a gamer first and foremost. You bought a game legitimately on the digital store, so it's available on PlayStation Store. You're streaming the game, which you could have done from your PlayStation directly, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're playing on you're streaming it on YouTube, and then you get a strike for playing a game you bought with your own money on the legitimate console digitally. Like, I mean, how can you even get striked for this? It just like, like, it's not like you got a note, like, you didn't get a notice like, oh, please stop doing this, like, because we don't really like it. I'm sure you would have stopped if they would have asked you to to stop doing it, right? So
yeah, there wasn't a notice, and I think it wasn't an automatic strike either. So by the time we had like an ongoing joke in our community that someone in the developer's office just woke up and he's browsing YouTube and he saw us streaming, and he just pressed the button and hey, don't stream my game,
Well, and you get a strike, and you're not able to stream for 30 days on YouTube. That's kind of a big deal. How long was that? Like Persona 5 released like 4 years ago or something like this?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit earlier, 5 years, because
5 years ago?
That was the Japanese version, and I think the international version came like some months later.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I'm sure things have changed since then. Like 4 or 5 years ago, streaming wasn't seen in the same light as today, right? Mm-hmm. Now everybody wants. It's kind of weird. Like back in the days, developers, publishers didn't want people to see their games like through streamers. Now they want as many content creators to stream their games as possible. Like, it just completely shifted from one end to the other. It's quite crazy. I'm sure Atlas would act differently today, but it's kind of a funny story to me that this happened back in the days, and it kind of like what got you to go from YouTube to Twitch. So wow. So since then, and then you went also from 3 to 1 to being solo on Twitch. How is that transition to go from like recording, things like on your own, and then you can edit, and then you can cut out the quote unquote bad parts, of the recording, if there are any, to going live and being fully yourself to your audience, and like there's no way to cut out what you're saying and what you're doing. Like, how did you feel going into streaming, regardless if it was on YouTube or Twitch, but for the first time?
Oh, it's a totally different experience, because sometimes I really enjoy being myself on stream. I think it's easier for me to express myself, and when I'm trying to make recorded content, I always feel a little bit awkward, and I have that tendency to, hey, this isn't really perfect, let's try that again, and it gets tiring, but going live, I enjoy being myself, but sometimes this kind of thing happens sometimes. Like I try to interact with a viewer, and maybe I'll try to make a joke, and 2 minutes later, I think to myself, maybe I was a little bit rude, but I wasn't trying to be. But so there's a different dynamic there. But I think in the long run, I prefer going live. I think it's just I think it depends on each one, but I prefer going live.
It intensifies the awkward moments, where like, if you're doing a bad joke in front of a friend and you're just alone in your house with him or her, like, you'd be like, I'm sorry, this was a bit rude. Like in front of like, dozens or hundreds of people. I mean, you're doing like an awkward or rude joke to a lot of people, so that you get that pressure of like facing, the mirror is always there, in the way that you're rethinking about what you've done and like how many people are like watching you do these things, and like,
no, it shows a lot of your imperfections. You're not just delivering the better part of yourself. You're just there.
Yeah.
And now I'm using a VTuber avatar, but before I streamed for the most of the 7 years without a webcam. So I think it kind of hurts a little bit, because if I'm trying to make a joke, some maybe part of the public they're not seeing your face, so they're not exactly sure if you're joking, and sometimes this may lead to some kind of, I don't know. So some people might think you're being rude when you're just trying to make a joke,
Yeah, but at the same time, it's part of like human nature. Like, it's you're imperfect, so am I, and so is everybody. Really, humans are imperfect. Like, that's just the way it is, right? So you see those imperfections throughout live content like this, but it just makes you human. I think, it just makes you you, and that makes you as well, like, real in a way, right? Because I feel when you say, when I was doing the YouTube content, I wanted everything to be perfect. So maybe like you weren't being yourself, like fully yourself, because you had like an idea of like how things should be, and maybe you were kind of like acting, again, air quotes here, like acting a bit, like to get it to the version you wanted, right? The version of yourself that you wanted, if you will. It must be much more difficult to do that on Twitch or being live, right? So, but it's interesting because it's, again, like, even though it's normal and it's just us being human, it's also challenging to deal with, like, to live with that, knowing that we may have hurt someone by saying a bad joke or something like this, and so many people saw it, and then I don't know, we feel bad about it. But I want to talk about VTubing, okay? Because you went from no cam, to VTubing, correct? Right?
Correct.
So some of the people that are watching this on YouTube right now are they seeing your face for the first time? Maybe some of them?
Oh, maybe,
right? So what made you go from no cam to VTubing straight up, like without even going through the let's show my face and then maybe go to YouTube?
I think some of my viewers already saw my face. I used to use usually I had no cam, but in like special events I would use a webcam. So for example, on Christmas Day I do a 24-hour stream, Christmas stream, and then I use a webcam because I think that's like it's a special occasion. And but some people I think they don't really see my face at all. But the main motive I changed to a VTuber model, it's because I thought my content was getting a bit stale after 7 years. It's like I stream 6 days a week, so I think every content creator, I think this happens with almost every content creator, that their content gets a little bit stale, so you kind of you just turn on the autopilot. And I thought that was starting to hurt my content.
Is that coming from you, or is that coming from your audience? Like,
No,
is that you thinking
that's just
like,
me.
okay, that's just you. But because like you didn't see like a drop in numbers or anything like this.
No, not really a drop. It's just the numbers are the same for a really long time, you know.
Okay, so you weren't seeing the growth that you would have hoped to get, you know, after years and years of content creation. And how long has it been since you've been doing VTubing now?
2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay, that's super recent. Have you seen, like, in that span of time, have you seen any type of change in terms of like viewership and whatnot, or is it too early?
I think it's too early. But on the first streams, there was like people were really curious. So I think the 3 first streams they had a big increase in the numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with the change because I think the VTuber model gives me a little bit more of creativity. So I can try different things with the model. I can use like different backgrounds. For example, my model is a bartender.
Yep.
And so he runs a bar. And one of the things that I wanted in my model was like some kind of pet. So I chose a crow. So my bartender model has a crow that I can leave on my head or on my shoulders. And sometimes he speaks with text-to-speech voice. So for example, if you resub to my channel, he'll sing a song. If you send bits with text-to-speech, the crow will speak what you're typing in your bit donation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was a really nice gimmick and people are enjoying that.
I enjoyed the idea. I'll tell you that. I think that's quite fun. But like, how was the reaction of your audience? Because like they've known you for, well, some of them for 7 years, some of them for less, not as long necessarily, but you go from no cam to VTubing. Like, what was the feedback that you got from your current audience about the change?
I was really worried about the change because I know there's a big part in my community that enjoys VTubing, and I enjoy some VTubers. I think there are some really talented people VTubing nowadays, but I was a bit worried because I know some people maybe they don't enjoy VTubers. Maybe they were on my stream because they like no cam streams. They just like to see some retro and variety streaming. So I think it was mostly really positive, and people were like, "Hey, it's a good change. Do what you do. I'll keep supporting." And some people came and like, "Oh, this is a little bit weird," but they're like, "Hey, you do you," and I was happy with that. But before, on the day of the building the model, I was really worried with the reactions.
Yeah, it's a big reveal.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, you also prepared quite a bit for this. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into launching a new VTubing channel, if you will, like, because that's kind of what it is, right? Because like you're changing the even though you had no face to show most of the time on stream, now you're adding a face to it, and there's a lot of technology behind it. You worked for, I'm guessing you work with an artist, or did you do it yourself, or not sure?
No, I worked with artists. Some of the artists were my friends, and they tried to help me. And one of my friends drew the VTuber model, and another friend made the rigging, which is, and they're both a pretty time-consuming, expensive process, but they helped me with the models. And I commissioned another artist to make the backgrounds because I needed somewhere to be. So since I'm a bartender, I asked for 3 different backgrounds, but they're like the bar entrance, the interior, and a little bit of the streets,
the alley.
The alley, yeah, exactly. And I think that was it. But I kind of had to do like a total rebranding of the channel. So it and then there was other changes. I've been delaying a bit. Like I thought, hey, I used to my alerts were all on Streamlabs, and I've been wanting to change to Stream Elements for a while, so I just took the opportunity. Hey, maybe I'll just change on the same day. So I changed everything to Stream Elements, and I was using XSplit for 7 years, and I changed it to OBS. So there was like a lot of changes in just one. Yeah, I changed everything.
You moved out. You bought a new computer. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's the same old computer, but almost everything. Almost everything else I changed. So
yeah, specific to the stream, like it's like, you know, the platforms you use and the software and the you know, all this, like, but it makes sense because like the whole like notifications with the bird, with the crow, you know, you know, you had to recreate it in a way anyways, right? Like you had to do it on whether it was Stream Elements or Streamlabs, you had to redo it. So if you were thinking about changing in the past, it just makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But it's a lot of added pressure for you to then be like, because people at home, they're not necessarily aware of all this, or at least they're not necessarily aware of like all the the time and the efforts and the resources you've put into this. For you, you're like, oh my god, like I'm using OBS for one of the first times, or I'm using Stream Elements for the first time, this and that and this and that, and like, you know, and it's tremendous amount of pressure. Like, how did you feel when you saw that everything went well on that first stream with the VTubing rig?
Oh, I was so nervous on the debut, and I think the biggest change I made, because of how the crow alerts work, I needed to use voice meter, and I'm not really a fan of voice meter. I think it's kind of weird to really understand everything that's going on there. And sometimes like I'll just reboot my PC and some configurations they'll just change. And I had like some problems on that a bit just because of voice meter. And then I just told my audience, hey, I have some problems here and I changed everything. I hope you understand. So some of the problems I had, like my voice was duplicating. Sometimes the crow was duplicating the text to speech. So a lot of weird little things happen, but now it's almost everything sorted out, and I think the changes they're just good on the long run. I think OBS is just better than XSplit at the moment. XSplit is just he just consumes too much of our PC. It's just and OBS is just lighter, and because I had to change to the VTube model, I also need to use the VTuber software. So I knew that I was going to use a little more RAM and CPU. So I think I had to change to OBS. It's just lighter, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, like digital audio stuff, I'll just categorize it as this is very tricky. I've had a lot of problems in the past, like, and this is not sponsored by any means, but since I have my Go XLR, I'm very happy. That's all I'll say. Okay, send a check after. I'll send you like the PO box. No, I'm kidding, but you know, like it's for real. Like I got this stuff because, frankly, before that, going through like digital audio mixing software, oh my god, like it can be a nightmare.
It
can
really
be a nightmare. And you're right, like you can set it up and you're like, yes, like fingers crossed it's gonna stay that way, and then Windows updates something or something gets updated somewhere, and then boom, you know, it goes back to, you know, a shitstorm again, and like, you know, got to figure out what, like, you know, what needs to be done to fix it. So I feel you. I exactly what you had to go through.
And audio is just is such an important part of a stream, that when you have an audio problem, you just have to stop whatever you're doing and try to fix it, because
yeah, it's the majority of your content, you know, it's the voice. You know, it's like, because some people listen to you. There's more people that listens to you than watches you, I would say. You know,
oh, definitely,
because they might be working at the same time and not necessarily looking at the screen and whatnot. So like, it's super important. So like, yeah, no, I mean, I'm fingers crossed my Go XLR doesn't, you know, stays in good health for a while. Let me ask you about this. So Saga, That's not your real name. I think
No.
I can safely say it. What does that mean? Where does that come from?
Oh, Saga is just and I think I was 12, maybe, or maybe 10. It was the first time using internet, and I needed a username for IRC by the time. And there's an anime that it was really popular in Brazil that's called Saint Seiya. I think it's in North America they had a smaller run. I think that they're called Knights of the Zodiac or something like that.
It rings a bell.
Yeah, and there's a character named Saga, and I thought that the name was just a cool name to use, and it stayed since I was 10, I think.
You know what I'm thinking when I think Saga, I'm thinking Sega, and I'm thinking like it'd be really cool to have an intro where it says, instead of saying Sega, it says Saga. I don't know. I like it.
I'm actually a big Saga fan. I grew up with Mega Drive or the Genesis.
Yeah.
I really like Saga video games.
But so your alias is Saga. Your Twitch name or alias, I guess, is Calibre Lordal, right?
I think that translates to Lordly Calibre or something like that.
So, but why? Why are people calling you Saga, and then why is your Twitch username different?
Oh, it's because when we started the channel, it was me and 2 friends, so we couldn't use just one name. So we had to come up with a new name. And that was the one we chose.
Okay, so that's the original name of the trio.
Yeah, of the trio.
Okay, so you didn't change. So that's the name of the trio. You then took it for, I guess, for your solo content, if you will, and you're being one of the members of the trio Saga, part of Calibre Lordal.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that explains it.
Yeah, and I was thinking a little about this when I did the VTuber change, because I thought, hey, maybe I could rebrand the channel name. But it's been 7 years, so I don't really want to change the name now. So it's staying the same.
Could change it to a bartender and a crow.
Yeah, I could change it to anything like that. But the only thing I told that the name of the bar is Calibre Lordal.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And that's
that. I like that. I like that RP aspect. Like you're getting in the bar. That's cool. I like that. Social media.
Oh,
what is your relationship with social media?
Yeah, I'm not a big social media fan. If I could, I really wouldn't use any social media, and I think on the long run it hurts my channel a little bit, because Twitch discovery it's awful. I'm sure you had a lot of conversations about this.
I don't need to have conversations. I know. Trust me.
Yeah, it's really really bad. So when we moved from YouTube and we stopped recording podcasts and our Let's Play videos, I had no more recorded content, and I just kept streaming on Twitch. And I think it hurts my channel, because there's not a lot of new blood coming to watch. I have kind of a big portion of my community is very faithful, and they really enjoy my content, but it's hard to get my name out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a big fan of Twitter. I don't really use TikTok. I don't use Instagram, and my YouTube channel is just there. It's been a long time since I uploaded something there. So I have this. I kind of need to use, but I don't really want to.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I should be using a lot more, and I wouldn't recommend any streamer to just avoid social media. I think it's almost mandatory. You should be using at least one or two.
Yeah, no, I think you understand that. But tell me why. What do you hate that much about, what makes you really not want to? Because it's not like you don't know the value. You understand the value. You're saying it yourself. I should be there. but like something stops you from being there. Like, what is it? Like, is it because? Well, I don't want to give you options. Literally, tell me. What is it?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to market myself. I'm not really a big fan of going there every day and try to show everyone that my content's really, it's really fun, that you should check it out, you know. It just feels weird to me. I think it feels a little bit disingenuous to do that. I'm not sure why. It's just something that I...
You know, if I may, maybe it's a misconception on your part.
Oh, maybe.
Because I think, like... Hear me out. Maybe you're seeing social media like you used to see YouTube, where it needs to be a certain way, and you're not satisfied with the way it is, and you might want to redo it and whatnot. And like you're imagining what the content you should make should be like, but maybe that's actually not the content you should be making. Maybe you should be making content that just feels very natural to you. Now that may be challenging for you, not being a social media person, if you will. But from what you're saying, I kind of feel like you have a preconception of what social media content for content creators should be like. And I'm like, I couldn't care less what needs to be or what others do. What would Saga do is what I care about. That's what I would care about. Like, be different than everything else. That's great. Be yourself. Like, you don't like the way things are done right now on social media? I say, great, embrace that. Do it completely differently. And I think that might be a way to differentiate yourself from all the rest, you know? Like, just the same as on Twitch. Like, you're yourself. You're feeling yourself and all that. I would bring that same attitude to social media, if you will. Just be yourself and not overthink it, you know? And I don't think the point is not to hype up your content necessarily. I don't think it's, some people do it, right? It's might be fun for them and it might work for them, but it doesn't mean it works for everybody. And if anything, as a viewer personally, what I like to see from creators online on social media is a different side of them, the real them, you know? That's how you get just fun and unique content. And I think that's what's actually the most interesting on social media.
That's a really good point. And I'm 34, and some of those platforms, they just feel like too young for me to be using. So for example, TikTok, I just don't understand TikTok at all, you know, or Instagram. So the only thing I do with my channel at the moment is Twitter, and the content there is mostly here's a little cool clip, and hey, I'm online at the moment and I'm playing this game. So it's just pretty bad Twitter content, but it's there, you know. But there's a lot of content creators that I enjoy. Like I really like Alias. He's from Avoiding the Puddle, and his content is pretty good. And on YouTube, I know he pays like a friend, and he cuts his content in small doses, like 5 or 10 minute videos of Aries just telling a story or being funny. And I think that those are enjoyable stuff to see on YouTube, for example. But when I try to cut my own content, I think I may be a little... Maybe I'm being too critical of myself, because sometimes I'll try to cut my content and I'll watch my content for 1 hour or 2 hours, and by the end I'm like, there was nothing funny here. There was nothing worthwhile for me to upload on YouTube. So
says you though.
Yeah.
Says you, and you're the worst. You're your worst critique. I can promise you that. I am of me. You know, like everybody's is their worst critique. Like, you know, don't, you know. If I listen to the stuff I say and do, I'm like, oh my god, dude, I can't. You know, that's how it is. It's normal, right? So I think you're right. But before I lose this idea, I got into this idea. Okay, TikTok, you don't get it. Why don't you make TikToks about a guy that doesn't get it? I would love to see this. Like, be the guy that doesn't get TikTok, and just be there with your phone and be like off frame or whatever. Just, I don't know. I'm exaggerating, of course, but like, have fun with the fact that you don't get it. I'd love to see this. You know, like for me, like that's what makes you special. Like you're 34, you're not 24. I'm 30. We're you know in our 30s, and you know some platforms are like, you know, we don't get it as much as younger people. Maybe I don't care, you know, but like you're 34. That's the way it is. You're not gonna go back in time. You're also not 64. You know, you're who you are. Let's embrace it. I say embrace it. You know, and don't let that stop you from making content. Like people, you have fans watching you every single day you go live. They love your content. They don't love your content because you like your content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't, you know, it doesn't matter if you like your content or not. Ultimately, like it happens so many times with artists, musicians, right? Like they write music and you ask them what they listen to at home, has nothing to do with what they actually compose themselves. You know? Like it happens a lot of the time. Like what you create is not necessarily what you know, like ingest as a viewer yourself, as an audience yourself, right? So what you prefer for yourself, you don't necessarily want to emulate it for your audience. You know what I'm saying? You don't like when you have another content creator that does something that you like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do what that person does.
Oh, I see.
Because you know, you're not that person. You're you, and people watch you for who you are. And I don't know. I just think it's very easy for me to say it here, sitting in my chair. You know, I know it's much harder to do it, but you know, still,
it is. But it's really good advice, actually.
Now I see your VTuber avatar. It's kind of like anime, a bit dark. Reminds me of like a vampire, maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah. I thought it was funny on the first day because a lot of people ask, "Hey, are you a vampire?" Because some of the things I wanted, like I told my friend that I wanted the long white hair because there's a lot of characters that I just like the visual, like Alucard from Symphony of the Night. I really like that visual, and I wanted him to look like his tired, his aura is tired. So I think, and maybe that's why people thought it was a vampire.
Yeah, it looks cool, and I want to move on to like the fact that you're in Brazil. You're Brazilian, right? Living in Brazil, streaming to mostly Brazilians, would you say?
Yeah, I would say at least 99%.
99%. Yeah. How is it? Like, how is the streaming community in Brazil? Would you say?
Oh, this is a really good question. When we started streaming, I think Twitch was really like there wasn't too much Twitch on Brazil. Brazilians would watch YouTube mostly, I think, and Twitch was just beginning here. So when we got our partnership, Twitch had like, I think it had like just 3 people working here. And one of those guys, he was like, "Hey, I'll be your partner manager, and you can talk to me here." He added us on he followed us on Twitter, and he added us on Facebook, and he told me, "Hey, if you have any problems, you can talk to me, and I'll see what I can do." And it was great because every time we had a problem with YouTube, and you need help from someone, it's almost impossible to talk to a real human being there. It's just, hey, just click here and try to sort it out with this bot. And with Twitch, I had this real tangible guy that could help me with any kind of problems I have with the platform. And then they began a really big expansion here, especially after Amazon bought Twitch. And nowadays, I don't even have a partner manager anymore. They just manage like really big streamers, and nowadays Twitch is a lot more popular here in Brazil. And I think the most popular content here is like there's a really big Counter-Strike streamer, and I think he broadcasts official tournaments and stuff like that. There's a lot of I think League of Legends is pretty big here, and there's a mobile FPS, which I don't really remember the name. It's something like Crossfire or something similar. that the kids really love that game, and it's pretty. I think it's a free-to-play game that you can play on your phone. Okay. So it's really popular here, and there's a lot of really young content creators. So I think most of those content they have like their target audience is really young. So there's not a lot of Brazilian streamers doing variety, for example. They're kind of they're just a handful, maybe.
Yep.
So
you being one of the first ones.
Oh, definitely. I think I was. Oh yeah, and there's one really big streamer here that he started doing. I think he was a sports commentator, and he would go online and he would talk about some soccer matches, and he got really popular here. I think he's the biggest one nowadays, and he's a funny guy, but it's pretty different from other regions. I think there's a lot of difference in content creation if you go to Russia or South America or Southeast Asia. It changes a lot.
For sure.
But I would say here it's a really... Most people that watches those type of content are really young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a boom in South America overall, I think, on Twitch in the past few years. That being said, you know, streaming in Portuguese is different than speaking in Spanish. So it makes it so. Do you get any Europeans, like any Portuguese people, to come to your stream?
It's not that common. I don't think there are a lot of native Portuguese just watching Twitch in general.
Interesting.
There are just so many more Brazilians watching that. I think sometimes someone would come on chat and he would say something that would he's Portuguese because he's using an awkward word or
slang or something.
Yeah, slang or something like that. But it's not that common. It doesn't happen a lot.
Very cool. Now we got a couple of audience questions actually for you, Saga, and we're gonna have a couple of outro sections, if you will, for you.
Sure.
The first one, again, audience questions, is: Hey Saga, what is the #1 tip for channel growth that you have for new content creators?
Oh, I would definitely say you should grow your audience elsewhere. I think you should be using other platforms and not just Twitch.
So don't do like what he does.
Yeah,
and
it's the opposite what I'm doing right now. You should be using YouTube. You should be using TikTok. I think it's really good for discovery, and because growing alone on Twitch, it's just so hard, man. I think if I started a channel like today, and I would just stream on Twitch for 18 hours a day, I'm certain it wouldn't grow at all.
Yeah. There's a lot of noise on Twitch, and like there's so many people wanting to make it on
and like in 2015 that maybe you could do it we did, but there's just so much more so many more channels online at the
highly
moment.
Unlikely. Highly unlikely. Or you would need connections. You need to know people that would co-stream with you, raid you, whatever. You know, you need relationships. I would say
this is something that's really hard for me as well. I'm not that good with networking, and it hurts my channel as well. So maybe if you're good at networking, if you're more extroverted, I think you should try to make some collaborations. And I think the easiest way to do this is just participate in other communities. There's a channel you like, you just go there and not really promote your channel, but just participate and chat a little bit and maybe get to know someone, and then maybe that streamer can raid you later. But just don't force it. Just make it natural. I think it works a lot.
Well, you know, you said something interesting. So you said maybe he's gonna raid you later. To me, like shouldn't be a goal in my opinion.
It shouldn't be a goal. I'm talking like in a.
Like it might happen. Like it might.
Yeah, it might happen.
Yeah. But for me, like, it's more important to build a relationship with the creator than with their audiences. Because their audience, like, you come in and be like, hey, you also stream, wink wink, ha ha ha, like someone else streams here,
no,
without saying, but like you don't want to do this, of course, right? But you want to, like, typically my experience is that if you vibe with someone on stream, like, it will most likely reciprocate, because the relationship is that you're watching them and they can't see you, of course, and you're being attracted by something that they're doing, which is close to you. So when you're streaming and they're watching you, the chances are they're going to feel that same connection, because there's a connection, there's something happening between two people, right? Exactly. So it's just about being there, enjoying being there, enjoy the process, just discover that person, like, engage with their content, just be authentic, genuine in chat, show up, and just maybe join their Discord, whatnot, like, then talk to them and be like, hey, I really like your stuff, like, I don't know if you knew, but like, I also stream, you play this game, I also play it, like, there's a new game coming out and it's a co-op game, hey, what about we play together on this one, and co-stream. It's not complicated. I get it, though. It's not necessarily easy, but it's not complicated.
Yeah, I have one good story about this. I was browsing the retro category, I think months ago, and I found one Japanese streamer playing Streets of Rage 1, and she was really, really loud, and she was having a lot of fun. And then I gave a sub, and I think I wasn't really understanding what she was saying because she was speaking Japanese, but she caught something like a glass ball to just read my future. I think that's what she's doing, and she had so much fun. She was so happy with that sub that I clipped that part of her stream, and I tweeted to my audience. I say, hey, I watched her, and this is a fun clip that happened, and they enjoyed. And then the next day, I rated her, and she was so happy, and my audience enjoyed her content. So it was pretty natural, I think. And
there you go.
A lot of people on my channel started watching her, and she came by my stream. And
there you go.
Yeah, her channel name is Enjoyco, if you want to take a look later.
There you go. Plugging it in as well. That's great. That's exactly the way to go, right?
Yeah.
And it's it's not complicated because it was natural, and it was it was not forced. Right?
Exactly.
So the ideas.
I wasn't really looking to network, because especially with a Japanese person, because I don't speak Japanese, I can't really collab with her. But it was just out there, and it was fun, and she enjoyed it, and my audience enjoyed it.
Well, maybe there's a lesson here, and I feel like I'm I'm giving a lot of lessons today.
Hey, feel free.
But don't worry, because the episode's coming to a close. I'm almost done with my lessons for today. But one last, if I may, is you just again said something very interesting to me. I wasn't really looking to network because she was speaking Japanese, right? So maybe it's just a matter of perception.
Oh,
right? Like you came in, you said, because he's like, I'm not really good at networking yet. That seemed pretty easy and smooth process from what you're saying. So maybe the added pressure that you're putting on yourself to say, like, oh, I'm going into a stream, and that goes for you, but anybody else, right? I go into a stream to network. Okay, now what do I do? Okay, let me say this in chat. Oh, was that the right thing to do or thing to say? Like, our brains can start going like this if we have like this objective of like, oh, I'm networking, I need to do it the right thing, whatever. Instead of just being like, hey, let me just go check out some streams today and enjoy myself and see who's out there. And regardless of the language, whatever, you know, and that's how networking is most effective, is when like there's no pressure. You're just having fun. You're just being yourself again. You're just being, you know, genuinely interested in the content. Like you gifted a sub because you thought she was fun. You didn't understand a word she was saying, but she was like, you were like, hey, she's having fun. I don't know. She's making me feel good. Like it makes me laugh. Like, let's go. But that's a genuine connection that you had with the person that you didn't understand a word they were saying.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be more genuine than this in terms of connection, you know? So again, maybe like if we can think of when we're networking and imagine that everybody we're talking to are speaking a language we don't understand, and we just don't put that pressure on ourselves, you know? We're just there to have fun. Maybe that'll make the whole process easier.
Yeah.
You know?
I think so. And she was like, her content was so much different than mine because I'm kind of more reserved, and she was so lousy. I think one of the things she always says like, hey, I'm in Joico and I always lousy. I'm always noisy. I think that's noisy. What she says.
Well, opposite attracts sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Another question here. How's it going, Saga? I saw that you're beginning to pop off in the VTubing community as of late. What was your inspiration behind the avatar, and do you plan to invest money to make your avatar's movement more complex in the future?
Oh, I think the rigging is pretty good at the moment, but there's some things I can add, like some models you can make facial expressions. There's a VTuber that I really enjoy that's called Pikami. And she has like a lot of different expressions that I know that she's just pressing a button, and there's a hotkey there that makes her cry or makes her face red. And I think that's one thing to add, because at the time I have some hotkeys to move the crow between my shoulders and my head or my hand, and there's a bow movement. But I think I can add more facial expressions in the future, so I'm definitely doing that. What was the first part of the question?
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking.
All right, are you ready for some rapid fire questions? So 15 questions, two options, two possible answers. As fast as you can, just answer them without thinking, all right?
Sure.
Let's go. Be able to speak to animals or speak all languages?
Oh, I speak all languages.
Tennis or badminton?
Tennis.
Batman or Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
V-Rising or Dota?
Dota.
GTA 5 or Fortnite?
GTA.
Would you rather be the strongest person on Earth or the smartest person on Earth?
The smartest.
Explore space or explore the ocean?
Space.
Be in jail for 5 years or a coma for 10 years?
Jail for 5, I think.
Be able to pause time or rewind time?
Pause time.
John Cena or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Oh, man. I prefer The Rock, but I love both.
Never have to sleep or never have to eat?
Sleep.
Iron Man or Batman?
Iron Man.
Never brush your teeth or never wash your hair?
Never brush my teeth.
Have 10 kids or no kids?
No kids.
What is 42 times 6?
I have no idea.
252. Nice. There we go. I always like to end with like an unfair question.
Man, I was trying to think fast, but math is not my area of expertise.
That last 15th question is not really meant to be answered. It's like a bonus, unfair question. Saga, the episode is coming to a close. I wanna thank you for doing this. Listening to my lessons.
Oh no, it was a pleasure.
Social media.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it was really fun to have you. The hour flew by. Honestly, it's crazy. Yeah.
I think you should make like a 2-hour podcast.
Oh,
maybe an hour and a half, I think.
It's something we may consider. That being said, we want to get more and more people on the podcast as well, and hopefully the next steps for the podcast would also be to create more episodes. So, but we're always happy to bring back previous guests. So we have a backlog of guests, and we'll certainly add you to it. That would love to have again on the podcast. So thank you again for doing this.
Feel free to call me again. I think there's a lot more to talk about.
Absolutely. So guys, make sure to check out Saga on Twitch at twitch.tv/Calibre Lordal. That's CALIBRE LORDAL, right? And also on TikTok, right?
In a day or two, now. Maybe anytime.
go to his Twitch, and the different links will be there. All right. Mm-hmm. Saga, is there anything else you want to add or say to our audience?
No, just thanks for listening, and thanks for inviting me. And if you want to drop by our channel, you can type in English. I'll try to answer, and I hope you have a good time.
Absolutely, we will. And thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to review, like, share, tell your sister, brother, neighbors about us. Any type of positive engagement is super appreciated. It means a lot to us, and it makes a huge difference. Thanks again to Saga. And guys, as always, I'll see you next Tuesday in another episode of Streamforge Radio. Thanks for listening.